and Twitter and YouTube. And we're just talking about the weather going forward. It is going to be hot this weekend. And so is that tea. I can't drink it right now. All right, what's going on around the Calumet region? First of all, last night on the WJOB Facebook feed, you guys were treated to a pretty good softball game. Ryan, I went to bed with that game 3-2 in the last inning. Did Lake Central wind up winning that? All right, we're going to talk about that. Will Hatzel made his radio and TV debut as an announcer. He's in from Ball State, and he is charged with fixing the printer in there that's driving me crazy. And then I was watching it on Facebook, and part of it was that the night before, my niece, who plays for Munster, berated me for not putting the girls' softball game on. That was KV, the Munster game. And I'm like, all right. So Ryan and Will here and Sam Michael and Jimmy Mullaney got together, and they went out to Crown Point, and they did the game. Ryan, we had a couple people sign up. You know, we got to pay the IHSAA, and then, you know, I got to pay these guys and all that. And so like 4 or 5 people stepped up and said, you know, I'll throw $100 to it, and we got it paid for, so it didn't cost me anything. And whatever's left, I'll divvy up to those guys. And so thanks a lot. I know Bridges Scoreboard Lounge stepped forward. Is that right? The Dyer Town Councils just threw a bone at it. Kuziak, so we had 3. So that's enough. I'd still lose money on it, but not as much. And we appreciate you guys doing that. I just said it in passing in the morning, and I think 3 people called in. So way to go, guys. Hey, it takes a village to get a TV station going here in the Calumet region. And we did it. So I think we're going to try to do the Lake Central Crown Point game, right? And what day will that be on? That'll be on Saturday, right? No, is that tonight? It's tonight?
We'll be at Griffith and Crown Point tonight.
We'll be at Griffith and Crown Point. Griffith for baseball? Softball. For Griffith softball sectional and Crown Point sectional. So I don't know how we were able to do that. No one even ran it by me. So if you want to throw just $100 or a couple $100 at it, go ahead. Otherwise, I got to pay for it. But you know what? That is because we have been getting anymore. If we don't do a game, like in the old days, if we didn't do a game on the radio and people would call up and, you know, we get the input or, hey, why aren't you doing this game? And, you know, you need to be here. And sometimes we don't think about it. You know, we're just kind of going along doing our thing. But there's a pretty high interest in girls softball right now. And we didn't really, this isn't a planned thing, but we do have the equipment and we have the people. And we have a lot of Purdue Northwest people that are here over the summer and a Ball State guy. And so we do have the personnel. So if anybody wants to throw in for that, I think by the end of the night, it probably cost me about $800. So if anybody wants to set forward, all you got to do is call Ryan Walsh at 219-844-1230 or just email him at ryan@wjob1230.com. Say I'm in for 100 to support the girls softball effort. So also, Ryan was able to get the Indy 500. If you're driving around on Sunday and you want to listen to the Indy 500, part of this that we're able to get these things is that we have gotten some, you know, there's people listen. Plus we have 2 radio stations now, and of course people watch on Facebook. So, you know, we really have created a force here together, and so Ryan is taking advantage of that, and he got the Indy 500. And then I think we're doing baseball on Monday for a sectional game, right? Sectional final? And where's that at?
We'll be at Munster and Griffith.
Munster and Griffith. So we'll be at both places and whatever. I know I just got to do it, and if we were a better business, we would have gotten and called people and said, hey, you know, you need to sponsor this. So just call Ryan and throw in a couple pounds, will you? Because it's going to cost me softball and baseball, and then these guys got to eat. Hey, what do you mean you got to eat? What? You can't just like be hungry? What's wrong with you? Let's take a look here. What's going on around the region? Let's see. You know, what is going on with this? According to Bill Dolan in the Times, and Christina's taking a picture of me right as I'm talking, and you know how you're talking and you always have these like weird mouth things that go on, like, oh! Anyways, the The declared winner of the Republican contest for Lake County Council's 7th District is questioning the need for a recount. Christian Jorgensen of St. John said he has filed motions requiring his opponent, incumbent Councilwoman Alan Strong, to justify the need to recount every vote cast in Cedar Lake, Crown Point, Lowell, Schneider, Winfield, and South County. I've not heard of any fraud or mistakes on the part of our election folks. If it is not there, then this should go away. It is a negative thing for the party. It is a negative thing for every voter. Now, do you guys believe in that? This came up actually, was it last Friday maybe, or I don't know, one of these days on the show here. They all run together, kind of like Archie Bunker reruns. Remember that one? No, or was it in that one? I don't know. Remember when Meathead did this? Sally Struthers. Sally, you know, I would say stuff about Sally Struthers, but in this current climate, I can't do it. I'll just leave it alone. And so Strong, Eldon Strong, who finished 2 votes behind Jorgensen in the May 8th primary, rejects his call to concede defeat. I'm entitled to a recount, he said. Adding any splits in the Republican Party have nothing to do with his recount. So Strong filed a recount position with Judge Hawkins, and East Chicago set the matter for a hearing on Wednesday afternoon. So what do you guys think about this? Now, I remember when we talked about this last time, when it was, it's anybody's business, but Jim Weezer, who is actually the head of the Democratic Party, called in, and he's like, he basically, if I can rephrase Jim Weezer, he said, this is America, and it isn't an impugning of the process in any way if somebody asks for a recount, and Christian Jorgensen is wrong in that. And Weezer, he isn't always, but I think he's right in this one. I don't know why this Jorgensen guy came in here, and, you know, I was like, oh, wow, a reasonably, you know, capable-looking guy running for office. And I'm glad to see that on the Republican side. And but I don't know if he quite grasps that this is part of America, and that's, if somebody asks for a recount, it doesn't mean that he's trying to say something's wrong with the process or there were those who cheated in some way. It's just, hey man, it was really close. Let's see if we made a mistake. Well, there haven't been any mistakes reported, so why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What about Willis? What'd you say, Willis? What's that thing? How does that go, Ryan? What you talking about, Willis? You know what I mean? What you talking about? Eldon? There's no mistakes here. Anyways, what else is going on in the Calumet region? I don't know. You guys got something? 219-845-1100. You would think that it's going into the Friday before Memorial Day, and there isn't any politics going on, but you see it on the Republican side now. Actually, I'm kind of glad to see the Republicans kind of arguing with each other, because typically it's Democrats arguing with each other, mostly because there's more Democrats around than there are Republicans here. So, you know what? That actually could bode well for us on the radio and on the streaming live video if we could get Republicans to start ripping on each other too, because then we'd have like 2 sides that were doing it and everybody wins. But according to Bill Dolan, who is the most active writer in America, the Lake County Council might have expelled Jamal Washington from public office if he had been put behind bars for violating his domestic battery probation. Special Judge Jeff Toad, is it Toad or Thode? Thode or Toad? All right, how about this? Special Judge Jeff Thode spared Washington more jail time Wednesday. Council President Dave Ham said that denies the fiscal body the chance to remove the Maryville Democrat from his 3rd district seat. If the court had required Councilman Washington to serve time in jail, we would have had different option. This left the council with no other option. All right, so Councilman Ted Bilski said he wants Washington off the council. He needs to resign. Let's get a caucus and get someone to fill his position. This is my opinion, and it always has been. Washington was defiant after a special judge declined to imprison Washington. No, I'm not resigning. The people of my community elected me. So, you know, it was kind of weird. They go out to Porter County, which is well known with like putting the hammer down on people. And if I understood this right, the judge in Porter County basically said, listen, Jamal Washington did violate his probation on his first domestic battery thing when he got arrested on his second domestic battery thing. But we're only going to sentence him to a few days, and he already served these amount of days. So I think, didn't they sentence him to 18 days, and he'd already served 9, so he didn't have to go to jail? And, you know, just watching it from the outside, if you do something wrong, do it in Lake County and not Porter County, okay? In general, that's the reputation. So when it went to Porter County and they slapped him with what, Ryan looked that up, was it 18 or 30, 18 days of jail time, and he already served 9 in Lake County, so I guess he didn't have to go to jail. And then Jamal Washington got defiant. Now, there are portions of what Jamal Washington does that I'd like to bring out that are positive, and I think that Washington is making use of social media and live video in a very innovative way, and I applaud his efforts on that. You can see him with his live video that he does a lot of times with Levita Sparks Wade, and you know, he kind of gets that, but you know, the first domestic battery and then the second domestic battery, you know, they kind of, it's not the right time for this ever. And you know, do you agree with Ted Bilski? Does Jamal Washington need to go away off of the council? Remember yesterday we're sitting here talking, and we were talking about the case of Jamal Washington, and then we had Robert Battle, as he was a former EC guy, and then there was one more politician that was not looking good here in the region. I forget what that was. That was the lead story. It all runs together. Don't you, after a while, just kind of shake your head and go, knock, knock, who's there? Nobody's home. It's Lake County. All right, guys, what do you think? If you're an NFL player and you want to bring attention to unequal treatment of blacks by police across America, and you want to do it by kneeling during the national anthem at an NFL football game, should you have that right to do it? Well, according to Roger Goodell of the NFL, no, you should not. And if you do, your team will get fined if you kneel during the anthem. If you want, you can sit in the locker room until the anthem's over. What do you guys think about this? You know, as a pretty heavy believer in free speech, I wonder if the NFL, like a bunch of really rich white guys, aren't getting it. You know what I mean? They're like, you know, I just wish these sons of nyenyas would just stand during the anthem like good Americans, right? And there is certainly a part of me that thinks like that also, all right? Like, come on, man, it's America. Stand up, put your hand over your heart, or at least stand still and don't talk during the anthem. When we're at the press table, well, I don't know, we probably hear 50 anthems a year live. Well, not anymore, I don't do as many games. But for a long time, I did a lot of games. And basketball, football, soccer, swimming meets, wrestling meets, and all levels. And you hear a lot of national anthems. And one of the things that will happen is we try to time it to go to a break during the national anthem. We have to now, because if the national anthem plays and they play like a recorded version of it, then it's a copyrighted material. We can't have it on our Facebook feed, or we get a nasty message from Facebook. So the you know, what'll happen is sometimes we won't have time to write, and I'll have to still be talking. I'll say, all right, guys, we're going to be right back, and the anthem has already started. And it really bugs me because then I'm talking during the anthem. And then you look around, and sometimes kids are talking, or people aren't really standing all the way up, or, you know, they're looking on their phone, and it's a little irritating. And you're like, come on, man, it's the national anthem, our country, show some respect. And I get that in a personal manner. And I've said stuff to people before, like, hey, dude, what are you doing? You know, and they're, oh, yeah, sorry. Especially if it's like kids that are just like, you know, can I say grab assing? They think we can't, right? Anyways, I mess around, hey, cut it out. You know, like the old Mr. Kravitz down the street, hey, cut it out during the anthem. And I get it. But I also get that one of the things that makes that flag so great is that we can pretty much say whatever we want, and we can pretty much express ourselves however we want, as long as it doesn't make us, you know, go against our domestic protection or put people in danger in local areas. So, yes, I'm with you. Stand up. But I also respect that we have that right to express everywhere in America, except if you're an NFL player. Now, there is the issue if you work for someone and they say you got to stand during the national anthem or else, then do they have that right? Yeah, they can tell you not to go on Facebook, right? They can tell you not to protest during work hours, right? But if I were to come in here and play the national anthem before my show and say to Ryan, Christina Cortez, and Will Hatzel over here, you guys have to stand during this, would I be in the right? Really? What if they said, no, I'm just going to sit right here, I'm not getting up? Then what? I think I want to bring attention to the treatment of Muslims in America, and I am not standing up during this. And I say, well, you're fine. I'm docking you pay. Is that okay to do? I mean, first of all, why would I do that? Okay, I get it, but I might, because I don't have any discipline, and I can get erratic at times. All right? Just like most people that are named Deedlow. All right? So what is it? I mean, is that okay to do? What if I tried that? What if I had somebody who really, I'm not standing for the national anthem, man. It doesn't represent what I'm talking about. It's not America right now. There's too much hate. You know, black people can't drive down the street without getting profiled. Did you see that video of the Milwaukee Bucks player? Man, was that guy aggressive. Woo! That cop went up and just basically wasn't going to hear anything and just stun-gunned him, and the whole city had to apologize to him. So is there an issue? Well, I don't know if there's an issue or not of police treating black people any differently. I suspect there is a little bit. Maybe it's not as bad as it once was, but it's still there. And what if you want to protest that? Do you have to stand during the anthem? Well, pretty much anywhere in America, you're guaranteed your First Amendment right, unless you're an NFL player. You know what I mean? Let me take a phone call or two, huh? Let's go to John on line 1. John, what are you doing with your life? Jeff, what are you doing?
Hey, Jeff here. How you doing? Good morning, Jim. I'm heading into Cargill. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How long you worked at Cargill?
Yeah, I've been out there about 3 months this time. I did a little of the apprenticeship out there, but now I'm back.
Really? What kind of apprenticeship?
Well, thanks for coming out and giving blood at the electrician's hall, Jim. I'm over there at electricians.
Okay, I got you. So, all right, so you're going to your work, and what is it? What's on your mind?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, with the recount, Old Eldon Strong and Jorgensen, you know, I'm not sure on the particulars, but it says it's going to cost thousands of dollars for this recount. That's, I suppose, coming out of Strong's pocket, right?
You know, I don't know exactly what the split is, but I know if you order a recount, you got to have some money.
So, you know, it's at a certain point, it's like, why is it worth it? You know, how much money does a councilman get paid, and you know, what benefit is it? Is it just he believes that, you know, he's the right guy and he's got to do it, and so let's spend the money. It may work, it may not, but if I do get in there, it's going to be worth it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to pass the torch for some reason. I'm not sure on it. And that's just, I wonder why he's willing to spend all that money. The other thing is...
No, hold on a second, though. Let's look at this. What if you gave Eldon Strong 10 grand to get elected as a Lake County councilman? I know you wouldn't because, you know, we don't have that kind of money, right? But what if you did, and you gave it, or better yet, what if the electricians union gave him 10 grand to see you get Eldon Strong elected, okay?
Yeah.
And then he lost by 2 votes, and then he just says, forget about it. And you gave him that money to fight to get into that office. Wouldn't you want him to fight all the way to the end?
I guess in some regards, sure. I guess the supporters probably do.
Yeah, exactly. People gave him money. And even, honestly, even if Eldon Strong personally may say, forget it, you know, he owes it in one way of looking at it is he owes it to his supporters, financial and otherwise.
All right, well, that makes a lot of sense, Jim.
Hey, that doesn't happen very often, Jeff, so it's a Friday. Let's take it. All right, what else on your mind?
And I'll tell you what, and the other thing is this, and that should speak volumes to people that, you know, even within the trades like we are, we're preached to get out there and vote and do our civic duty. And people don't do it. I know people that don't do it. And you know what? 1 or 2 votes does make a difference. You know, that should be a glaring example.
How many electricians in that district did not vote? I'll bet it's more than 2.
Oh, man, a lot more than 2.
A lot more.
We can only get probably 60% of us to show up and vote for our union leaders, for the BA, for the president, for the treasurer, so on and so forth, you know. And that's once every 3 years. They can even do it by absentee, but we still only get 60% people show up and vote.
You know what, though, Jeff, and I understand that, and the leadership and the union benefits in general if more union trades guys get out and vote. But you also got to realize that, you know, we've had so many problems over the years. You can understand somebody's apathy, union tradesmen or not. You know what I mean? And I get on people, you know, I mean, like, why aren't you getting out there and vote? And then they're, you know, they tell you they're disgust with how things have gone around here, and then you're like, you know what? I understand it. You've given it some thought, and at some point, you don't. Yeah, go ahead.
You come away feeling beat down after that conversation, isn't it?
Exactly. Right. It's like, you know what, you're right. You don't have to vote. You're good. All right, so what else on your mind? What do you think about these NFL guys?
Well, here's the thing. Think of when we went to work in the morning, back when you were in the 41, and we had to stand for the anthem in the morning, and you know what? 2 or 3 guys didn't do it. You know, how would that make you feel on the job site? That's just one thing I thought about. And the other, and then I'll let you go because I'm getting ready to pull in here in a minute. And then the other thing is, you know, like the owners say, you are on our dime. And here's the thing: when I tune in to an NFL game, I'm trying to forget about politics. I'm trying to forget about all the crap going on in the world. I want to see the Bears kick some ass, and I don't want to think about politics and what's going on, and when they got to, you know, constantly it's thrown in my face enough, I don't want to see it in the NFL, you know. If you want to do it on your own time, you got all week long. On Sunday, go ahead and stand up or stay in the locker room. I agree with that.
You know what, and I think that is what the sponsors are telling the NFL, and that may be why they came back with this, you know, arrangement, because they have to mollify the sponsors. And all right, thanks. Going to work. I'll talk about that. See, 2 things. Talk to you, buddy. There's 2 things here, and one of them is, And I didn't, one of them is just pure numbers. And the NFL loses numbers if less people tune in. But then again, there's also the type of coverage, and I'm kind of studying this right now over the summer here in one of my MBA classes here at Purdue Northwest, and that is that brands often do not want to be associated with certain types of programming. And the NFL has always had just like this beautiful aura around them. And now you have the recognition that there is political discourse going on the sidelines. And so it's not just, even if that attracted more numbers, it may turn off some brands that don't want to be next to that. And think about Coca-Cola. You ever see a Coca-Cola commercial during a newscast? Anybody? Anybody ever see a Coca-Cola commercial during a newscast? Think about it. Never, right? Because up until recently, I think it's changed a little bit, but not much, they would not advertise during newscasts because there's too much bad stuff going on. Hey, listen, all you guys just stay right where you are. It's going to be a quick break. Be right back.
Men, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitоспharmacy.com. Vito's Pharmacy.
Carpenters Local 599 joins with other Carpenter locals to build the local economy and has been doing so for over 117 years. We are proud to be a member of the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, which is threefold: training, professionalism, and partnership. We also offer some of the best benefits in the industry. To find out how to become a member of Carpenters Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
Rush Radiosurgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radiosurgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radiosurgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient, and there's no guarantee other patients will experience these results.
Hey everybody, I'm Jim Delo.
And I'm Lane Paradis.
We do a podcast about Grateful Dead music. It's called
This Is Dead Air.
And you can find it at
thisisdeadair.com.
And on our Facebook page at This Is Dead Air. Check us out.
Deadheads.
Oh man, we've been doing that podcast just to about 50 people. Maybe we'll get 100 by the time we're done, huh? You can check us out at thisisdeadair.com. We did one yesterday. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Trouble ahead, trouble behind. Yes, trouble ahead, trouble behind. Except on the roadways right now, it's a pretty light day. Can you put the somebody put the thing up on the screen so I can see it? And 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toro, Borman, I-65 are all lighter than normal. This is typical for the Friday before the 3-day weekend. Really, when you're going to get your traffic is later in the day when Kubik, or who's doing the show today for Harlow? Tony Ponick is going to go from 4 to 5 today, and then we're going to have high school softball sectional action. Once again, that's going to be Crown Point and Lake Central. You know, it's kind of a lot of people kind of bugging, you know, in the old days, hey, why aren't you doing the radio? Why aren't you doing this game on the radio? People don't ask that nearly as much anymore. They ask, why aren't you doing the game on Facebook Live? We've got the guys. I got to pay them all. And if you want to be one of the sponsors, this is like the best, cheapest, best exposure you'll ever get as a business. And all you got to, or even if you're just a person, you just want to drop 100 on it, get a Ryan at WJOB1230.com. So we're going to go and do 2 softball games over the weekend, right? Or yeah. 2 softball and 2 baseball. Then we got the Indy 500. We'll also put you on the Indy 500 if you do it. And that's just how we do it. It's hand to mouth here. I'm working on a software where we put the game up there, and then basically it's a bidding process. And if we put the game up there and enough people sign up to sponsor it, then we'll do the game. And if enough people don't sign up to sponsor it, then we won't do the game. I know that's kind of like going to the highest bidder, and perhaps the more wealthy communities will wind up getting more coverage, but maybe not. Maybe, you go into EC and people want to do it. But I think that's the way to do it. Use the markets. Every time I can't figure something out, I go back to what is it? I go, man, just use the markets. The markets will tell you. You know what I mean? Let's talk about it. 219-845-1100. And traffic brought to you there by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Now let's take a look at weather. Today and tomorrow gets up way into the high 80s. Beautiful day out today. I just can't tell you what a great mood I feel in right now. Part of it is Alexis and I got in about half of our flowers yesterday. Spent 4 hours planting flowers. And I woke up this morning. It was gorgeous. It was almost enough light to see them. And I walked out and looked at them. And the wife's been bugging me. We got to have flowers. We got to have flowers. We didn't do it last year. I was working too much. And I'm like, all right. And then I was working, and she's plant here, plant there, move this dirt, get rid of that, knock this root out of the way. And I'm like taking orders for like 4 hours. And I don't mind it, because I just don't can turn my head off. And people, you don't realize it. Part of the reason that you get married, and for certain guys like me and all my uncles and brothers and cousins, is that so that you can turn your mind off at times and just have somebody tell you what to do. And I don't mind that at all. I don't know why. So I had 4 hours of marching orders to plant flowers, and I went out this morning and I'm like, whoa, is that beautiful? The bright orange super elfin ones from Allsep Home and Nursery will take your breath away. All right, what do you have in Rush Radio Surgery sponsors this segment. They are a second opinion if you need one. Go check them out at rushradiosurgery.com. Hey, let's take some phone calls. Ryan, give me a number, and let's go take it. I just want to talk to you guys. Who are we doing? Let's go to 4. Let's go to Jeff from Crown Point. Jeff, what's going on down South County?
In full disclosure, I've known Eldon Strong. I think I probably met him when I was about 12. He was a coach of my brother. I've always known him to be a pretty stand-up guy, real nice guy. And, regardless, though, if a vote comes down to 2 votes, even if it's for dog catcher, I think you recount it just to make sure.
Why? Why do you recount it? Here is what he's saying it again. Jorgensen's standing by this. He's made some.
Well, I would too if I was him. If I was him, I would fight it tooth and nail.
He says, if it is not there, then this should go away. It is a negative thing for the party. It is a negative thing for every voter. Why is it a negative? Why is it a negative thing for every voter?
Because he doesn't want to recount it. He's got nothing to gain from a recount. So, if I was him, I would be doing and saying the same things. But I think, like I said, regardless of what the election is, if it comes down to 2 votes, I think it's in everyone who voted's best interest.
Why is it in their best interest?
It should just be standard practice, I think. You want to be sure that you got it right if it's that close of a vote.
How do you think that, it's kind of weird because South County, you don't get a lot of dissension, and it's pretty divided right now. If you talk to especially heavy Republicans in the South County, it's a little bit surprising. Do you think that marks the beginning of a little more political activism in South County?
Maybe. I think you always probably have those things. It's just that the party's so small that, you don't really even hear about it.
Yeah, you don't really hear about it. I guess you're right. All right, well, tell us something about Eldon Strong we don't know.
Like I said, he coached my brother, and and then as I grew older, 10 years later, he was like, "Hey, Jeff," always treated you like a man, basically. Or
You know,
Satan.
I'm with you. I never had, I mean, every time I met Eldon, we had talks, and, you know, every time I asked him a question for official business, he was very responsive. I'm kind of surprised he got beat.
Like, he was the type of person that, regardless of who he was talking to, he would recognize you and say hello.
Yes. And why did he get beat? Because of the Jamal Washington thing?
I would just assume it's just low voter turnout. People don't assume that there's really any, you know, and then there's plenty of people who I know that, you know, hey, who's in office? Okay, vote against the, you know, vote for the other person.
All right, man. There is that. I know I've done it. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you. Hey,
Sure.
let's go to Tom on line 6. Tom, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for taking my call. And I wanted to weigh in on the flag and the kneeling issue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's so many facets to just that aspect, and I have to agree with your previous caller that was talking about he wants to turn his mind off and just watch sports, and that's where I come from. Because, and that being said, I've got skin in the game. I've got people that are first responders in family, police and whatever, and the politics needs to stay out of it, and this means both sides of the aisle, not just one, you know, where they say it's the lefties stirring the pot. Well, Cadet Bone Spurs needs to stay out of it, because if he was so patriotic and so enthralled, he wouldn't have those multiple deferments that he has. You know what I mean? And you know, bang the gong and you're not patriotic. Well, I don't think he was, and I volunteered. And the ones who are veterans and volunteered, they need to look at that. There's a lot of aspects. And you being a business owner, I think, this is my own humble opinion, you have the right to dictate to your employees, well, not dictate, but tell them this is my program, and you should, you know, adhere to it as far as standing or, you know, whatever for the national anthem. And if you don't, then go take it elsewhere, but in a public forum, not on a private property.
Well, here's the issue. I think there's two. We have the actual issues of politics and different sides and so forth. And then you have the issue of, can a man express himself in any way he wants to, or does the employer have the right to tell him how he can express himself?
Well, it's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. Like I said, there's so many facets that are involved there. When that issue first came up, that was my first thought was, hey, if you want to protest, don't come out and do it there. Do it out in the public forum, but don't go out on the field and do it.
Okay, I understand that, but now you're putting restrictions on when and where you can express yourself. So are you saying that they're on the dime of the owners so he can tell them when and where they can express themselves? It's a pretty deep philosophical question.
Exactly. It is, and it's a tough call, but this is my personal humble opinion. You're on an owner's turf, as it might be, and you're on his dime, as you said, and you should adhere to his regulations.
Okay, all right, let's take it further. Tony Ponick had a really long hair. And Christina has really short hair, okay, right now, okay? Should I be able to tell them what they can and cannot do? They're never going to make a camera. Well, Tony might. Tony does. But let's just say Christina, she doesn't go in front of the camera. She does nothing. Do I have the right to tell her how she can wear her hair?
Not necessarily. However, like you said, if it came to a point where it would interfere with their job effort, whether maybe putting on headphones or getting in the way or whatever, or causing distractions, potentially. That's
yes,
another tough call.
And I agree with you on that. All right, thanks for the call. I agree with you on that. If it was like a presentation thing and, hey, you got to wear a tie, or you got to have reasonable hair because of the way we present ourselves. But if Tony or Christina were making a political statement with their hair, do I have a chance to regulate that? You know what I'm saying? There's a whole different thing there. And I don't know as if I would even take that on. In other words, hey, they're making a political statement by wearing their hair in a certain way, and it's not just because they want to. It is they're supporting a cause. Now you got another issue. You got a big issue. And that is what these mostly black men, with some white guys standing with them, on the sidelines are doing. Believe me, I don't like it. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. And that's just how it is. Let's go to Zube on line 5. Zube, what have you been doing lately?
Keeping America going strong. Getting that freight out in time so you guys can go spend dollars and buy American-made products and all that good stuff and boost the economy and keep me busy at night.
Would you consider yourself one of the top 10 forklift drivers in the Chicago area?
How dare you underestimate me? I was thinking you were going to say nation. Jim, if they had a forklift Olympics, I would be the Michael Phelps every 4 years. I'm like a surgeon with that thing.
You know, I've driven a forklift, and I was not very good at it. Ripped up a few cardboard boxes in my day. And I have,
occupational hazard, that's all.
I have a great respect for the ability to drive a forklift, or actually a backhoe, but let's just relegate it to forklift. And I don't think that forklift drivers get the respect that they're due.
I'll tell you what, one day I want to drive one of those that takes the containers off of the frames of the flatbeds, going overseas and stuff. They stack them like 5, 6, 7 high in the yard.
Yeah.
Those are some big forklifts.
That'd
be a nice toy to drive around.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't be able to work all night with nobody talking to you, which is what you want.
Put some earbuds in and whatever.
Hey, so what's up, man? What do you think?
Nothing. On the way to the local Menards, buy some couple products. Such a glorious day today. I think I'm going to get home and finish up the rest of the yard work, and I'm done for the year. Lay down, do a little top layer of mulch in the landscaping, a little spraying around the house and grass for bugs, and that's it. I'm done for the year.
All right,
I might even kick back and have an alcoholic beverage today.
I got 2 questions for you. All right, first of all, you're driving down Indianapolis Boulevard, right? You get to 45th, and you start driving south. And you got to buy some building supplies or landscape material or whatever it might be. And you have on your left, you have Lowe's. You have on your right, Menards and Home Depot right next to each other. Which one do you choose?
Okay, I'm going to leave this kind of a long answer, and I'll tell you why. I'm eliminating Lowe's just because, I'll be honest with you, till this day, I've never stepped foot inside of a Lowe's.
Okay.
Home Depot, I would go back and forth to before that Menards opened up, which also don't forget there used to be a Sears right next there too.
Yes.
Home Depot just really didn't like at the time the products they offered. So I'm a Menards guy till this day, and I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of it has to do with, and this may label me as sexist or whatever, but there's some nice eye candy there, Jim. Not gonna lie to you. There's some nice eye candy.
Well, Zube,
Is that wrong to say?
No, but it really, it just shows that a guy really never changes from his 8th grade puberty days. You know what I mean?
A tiger can't change its stripes, Jim.
All right. I don't want you to say any more because that was perfect. I'll see you. Bye. All right, let's go to, where are we going to, Ryan? We're going to Dave from Gary. Dave, what's up, man? How you been?
Just interesting conversation I've been listening to.
All right, you're driving down. I know you live in Gary now, but you're over here a lot.
Yep.
You're driving down south on Indianapolis Boulevard. You have Lowe's, Menards, and Home Depot. Which one do you go to?
Lowe's.
Why?
My daughter works there.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, she works in the contract for the corporate end. Well, she hasn't worked for the last week because she's 3 days overdue having my first grandchild. She was due on Monday. And I guess my grandson doesn't want to come out into this beautiful weather.
Well, congratulations. You got to be on pins and needles, man.
I am, and I cannot be happier. Everything else is not important. If Colin Kaepernick is kneeling, if Trump's acting stupid, if Mooch goes on the nighttime television just for a dime, you know what? I really don't care.
But
not important to me.
I do.
It absolutely has nothing to do with my life right now.
I got a question for you. Does Lowe's treat your daughter well?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
And they've given her every opportunity to advance. She has a couple degrees, so yeah, they give her every opportunity. But I did want to chime in quickly about the right to do this or that when you're on the company dime.
Yep.
I just want to give you a quick analogy. I work for a big international company. I'm required to wear a uniform every day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's Domestic Violence Month, right? Because I'm directly involved in that. And Domestic Violence Month is October. I want to wear a pink shirt in my support of Domestic Violence Month. I want to change my uniform. I can't. I can wear that pink shirt as long as I'm outside that gate as much as I want. But when I'm in the confines of that gate, I have to wear that uniform.
Okay, and let's analogize that to NFL. Pretty sure none of these guys have changed their uniform.
And that's really the only parallel analogy that I have. You know what? They're on the company dime. The only reason these players do that is for exposure. They will not get that type of exposure outside the cameras once they're outside. Half these guys, they can walk down the street if they're not in a $1,000 suit, and you would absolutely have no idea who these guys are.
Yeah,
so they're using that exposure, right, for whatever beliefs they have or protests. I think they're on the company dime. They punched in. When that fourth quarter whistle goes off, they can punch out and do whatever they want.
Okay, but they should not, and you're saying the owners are in the right by protecting their investment, because if people are kneeling during the anthem, they'll have less viewers, and so they can tell those guys they can't do it, right?
That's been proven. You just make a company policy. It's a company.
Okay,
right?
But hold on a second. You have made a company policy to make it against policy to express your opinion.
No, I knew what I had to do when I signed my contract with my company, right? I knew that up front. Here's the rub.
I got you, but you're saying that you don't have the normal rights to free speech if you work for X company. You don't have that right.
While you're on the dime, no, I don't believe so. These are entertainers.
Okay, I got you. I mean, and then there it is. So where does that stop, Dave? Where does that stop? As soon as you say you don't have the right to political expression if you do X in America, right? Isn't that protected? Right. Isn't that protected? It's not protected for you to wear a pink shirt because you got to wear the uniform. That's not a protected thing.
Each of those players volunteered to be on that field.
Okay, I got you.
They're getting paid,
but it is protected in America.
They're not being forced to being multi-millionaires, right? Nobody's forcing them.
We're arguing different things. You are saying that political speech is not protected across America. If you work for the NFL, you are not protected by political free speech. You're just not. That's what you're saying.
I can only speak for where I work, and I can't say certain things. I can't wear whatever I want, and I knew that going into it.
Wearing is a uniform, okay? That's one thing, okay? But your political free speech and your political free expression is something that is protected by the Constitution, and you're saying it's protected everywhere, but on the sidelines of the NFL.
I can't wear a pink shirt the month of October. I can't do it. That's company policy. I can't do it.
All I can say to you is I can't wait to hear the good news on Tuesday morning, my friend.
They're going to induce her on Tuesday morning because that's what the doctor said. But she had some contractions yesterday that went away, so obviously I'm glued to my phone. And work already knows it, and I just cannot wait, and I'll send you a picture.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you. See you.
Thanks.
All right, guys, I got to hit a spot, or you want me to go? I got to hit a spot. Be right back.
Come out to Napleton's River Oaks Honda during the Honda Memorial Day sales event and save big on all new 2018 Hondas in stock, including Civics, Accords, CR-Vs, and Pilots. This weekend only, the first 25 customers get a free smartwatch with a test drive. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Second to none since 1931.
Must be 18 years or older with valid driver's license. Limit 1 per household. No purchase necessary while supplies last.
Jedi's Garden Family Restaurant, located at the corner of Klein and Ridge, is Griffith's locally owned family restaurant with a down-home feel and made-from-scratch favorites you will love. Open daily from 5 a.m. to midnight, Jedi's has you covered with breakfast omelets, salads, stir-fry, seafood, and egg sandwiches. In addition to our award-winning lemon rice soup, 4 additional soups are served daily. Along with our recently expanded spirits menu, Mondays are half-price margaritas, and Wednesdays are $1 off domestics. Mention WJOB for 20% off your order. We'll see you at Jedi's at the corner of Klein and Ridge.
Hello, everybody. AM 1230 WJOB. Traffic 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west. I'm not seeing much there either. The Bishop Ford coming up the gut of the Southland has been worse.
I want to be
Ryan, you're just playing
like the pretty people.
There you go. Sorry about that. I want to be like the pretty people on my TV. Now you can. It's a little bit lighter than normal on the Bishop Ford, but you still have trouble at the merge. And that kind of lasts on to the southern end of the Dan Ryan. Skyway Total, Borman, I-65, US 30, and Klein Avenue all moving along pretty well. Let's take a look at, by the way, Napleton River Oaks Honda sponsors that. Thanks a lot, Napleton. Let's go to our good friends at Laborers Local 41. Now, the other trades have not held it against me that, A, I come out of the laborers, and B, I still believe that the laborers, a laborer has to know everybody's job, and then the many trades just have to know their own job. Like if you're an electrician, you got to know how to bend some pipe and put wires in, put controllers in, and stay out of everybody's way. And then if you're an iron worker, you got to be able to carry those little metal sticks and then throw them down on the top of a bridge, and you got to know how to put beams up and stuff like that. And then if you're a carpenter, you got to know how to pound nails and put wood up and build scaffolds and put in forms. But if you're a laborer, you got to know all of that. So that's I had a guy ask me, why are you so about the laborers? Why are they so? Because I was a laborer. Oh, all those jobs. I know just enough to mess up any one of those jobs. Let's take a look on the weather. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's gorgeous out right now, folks. Enjoy life today. It's a Friday. We're going into Memorial Day. We got a high in the upper 80s. We've been living under a cloud of damp, cold weather for 8 months. And today's the day where you get out in your backyard and you pump your chest like Georgia of the jungle, watch out for that tree. And you just have that feeling of just, rah! It's today, high in the upper 80s. Tomorrow, higher in the upper 80s. Then you get into Sunday and Monday, and it gets even warmer, high in the low 90s. All right, guys, I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the Region on AM 1230 WJLB and 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. You can also see me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Let's go to Mad Mac on line 3. Mad Mac, I do apologize for making you wait, but it's good to hear from you, like always.
Well, thank God my burner phone's almost out of minutes, brother.
So what's up, man?
So, hey, listen, Zube, are you listening? Call back and get my number, man. We got to do a little grilling, a little competition, a little swap some samples. So call in, Zube. The greatest, what is he, forklift driver in the country, right? We'll see about his grilling techniques.
You want to swap some samples with Zube, do you?
Yeah, not the kind you're thinking, you little punk. I get that dirty mind going, I can tell.
I'm just saying that if you he's a pretty good griller. I mean, he has a pretty good reputation. He knows his game. Mad Mac, I mean, you got a lot of, strong political opinions, and I know you can lay a floor pretty well, and you're pretty good with your ARB signals on the floor of the Board of Trade.
I can lay pipe too, Jimmy. That's your joke coming up. I can hear that one too.
But I got to tell you that Zubay can make a grilled chicken that'll to die for, and I just have not heard your reputation of that. So I got to go. I'm going with Zubay easily on a grilling competition.
Oh, that's what you would normally do. That's like you in politics. Error.
Talk to me.
Did I not give you the chicken recipe that you made at home?
It was very good. It was very good. I got to make it again.
That even your wife said was astoundingly good.
It was good, but I'm talking about artistry at the grill. And Zubay will beat your ass every time. I'm sorry. All right, so what's on your mind? What's going on?
Opinion without knowledge. Okay. Listen, I don't even know where to start with you, Jimmy. Hey, what's with this Jorgensen guy? What is he just I hate to say for Republican, but is he just an idiot? You got 2,000 and whatever it was, 2,200 versus 2,202. Nobody would not think that deserves a recount. It's just that simple. You go back and double check, right? I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I got 10 8th graders figure that one out. Of course you do a recount. Go back and count them again, make sure it's right. It's too close. That's not even the margin of error. It's a tie, man.
Well, here's what he's saying to Bill Dolan in the Times.
Don't even repeat it.
It is a negative thing for the party. It is a negative thing for every voter. If it's not there, then this should just go away.
It almost makes me want to vote for the Democrat, no matter who it is.
Did you guys tape that?
It's ridiculous.
Did you guys tape? Did you Mad Mac saying it almost makes you want to vote for the Democrat? Did you just say that?
That's just a dumb statement to say. No, it's what you should do in respect for the voters to make sure that the correct person has won. Now let's go to a lighter thing here. We had a little fun with your name, JED, on Rick's show because we said there's JED. He puts the ED in erectile dysfunction. I got a lot of laughs in your little place over there.
Hold on a second. We could do something with that.
We already did.
I already told Vito. I said, hey, Vito, just call Sildenafil. I'll be your national spokesperson. Fine, I'm good with that. I haven't tried it yet, but I will if they want to pay me.
How's Vito doing, by the way?
They're doing well.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing well. You see that that telephone pole got knocked over there, that power pole, right by their place in Highland, but they fixed it.
I have no idea.
Well, anyways, that's a good idea. So what else you got on your mind?
So listen, in the NFL, last thing I want to do is defend Dave from Lake Station, but what he's trying to tell you is you can do it anything you want, but not on your company's dime. I got to tell you, Jimmy, there was a girl that worked at your place. She no longer works there. She went, moved away and did her gig. And I get a Facebook notice from her. It's about cancer. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll toss a couple bucks that way, help the cause, whatever. But on the Facebook page, when you hit the image, here's her wearing a pink T-shirt that has the letters F-U-C-K, and then cancer below it. And I'm like, what? Listen, I'm all for fighting against cancer. But you want to throw that F-U up there on a T-shirt wearing that, and that's going around the people to see publicly? No chance.
So is she allowed to do that?
She's allowed to do it, but I'm allowed to go. I'm allowed to hit delete and go, not participating in that program. Now, I'm just guessing.
We have to narrow this to, when these guys are on the sidelines, do they have the right to political expression?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, where does that stop?
It stops the second they pull into the parking lot, and it begins then when they leave to go home. If these guys were so concerned about all of this alleged mistreatment, when's the last time you saw an NFL guy putting up, let's say, 10 grand and heading over to Englewood on the south side or over in Gary to say, families, I know you got people who are totally railroaded by those terrible white police. Those cops are just running you over. I got money here. Let's go get a lawyer and let's help them out and get them out, because I know what happened to them. They weren't breaking the law when they were robbing the store. They weren't breaking the law. They resisted arrest. So let's get them out of the jail. When's the last time you saw an NFL guy or an NBA guy on the south side of Chicago? You haven't. You haven't seen them over in Gary helping anybody out.
So what does that have to do with the guy's right? What does that have to do with
Harlem to help anybody?
Okay, hold on a second. Turn the argument around. All right, so you have the American flag there, right? And you have an anthem playing. So let's turn it around.
You're at work.
And you're at work. Okay, so are you making a guy make a political statement by standing for that flag? Isn't that a political statement just to make them stand? You're making them make a political statement. You are making them say, I have allegiance to that flag and all that it stands for and to this song. It's an active thing. You're making them do it. And what if they say, I don't want to do it? No, you better make that political statement.
You don't want to do it. That's why they got the locker room. Just head back there and hang out.
but it's still, you are forcing them to make a political statement they don't want to make.
It has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with respect for our country.
No, all right. I knew that wasn't going to go the right way. It's still still a political statement. We all agree with it, and you should be respecting our flag, and we all have that as one of our morals. But
what class you taking at Purdue Cal right now? It's called branding, right? It's the NFL brand. They have a brand that they want to defend.
Yeah, they want to make you make a political statement. But you got to stand there and look at that flag and show your respect to that flag, because that's the political statement I want you to make. So now you've made them make an active.
That's the brand that the NFL.
You're mixing issues. The issue is do we have the right to political expression, or do you have the right to not make political expression? In other words, everybody's looking at it this way. Everybody's saying, oh, they're making a big statement by kneeling down. Well, what if the statement is that you got to stand there with your hand over your heart? And how far does that go? In other words, all right, not only that, now we want you to raise your hands. Everybody's got to raise their hands now when the flag comes on. Or better yet, the President of the United States is here. Raise your hands. You got to raise your hand. I'm not raising my hands for that president. Well, you better. Everybody's doing it, and it's a political statement. This company's going to make you do it. And if you don't do it, then all of a sudden you have violated their political rights. They are going down a slippery slope, and they made the biggest mistake possible the other day, and they are going to screw themselves with this, because it just opened up a much larger can of worms. I'm sorry.
Dance on a planet, Jimmy.
All right, man.
Zubay, call me, brother.
Zubay and Mad Mac around a barbecue. I'd actually attend that. I'd actually watch that happen. All right, let's take another one. Dan has been waiting the longest, and Dan, I am so sorry that you had to wait, but I just lose my order here sometimes.
Conversation.
So what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. A little tired. There was a retirement party I just wanted to throw out there for Connie Manis of Hammond Schools yesterday. And
wait a second. She retired?
Yes. Well, officially, I guess, in June.
Wow, I did not know that. That's special ed, right? For all those years.
Yep. For East Chicago for a long time, and then for Hammond for 15 or so years. So it was a good party. A lot of people there. So there's probably a lot of people calling up sick in Hammond today. Couple things.
Hold on a second. We got to talk about Connie Manis for a second. Connie Manis has basically given her life to special education, man.
Special ed.
Man, I might have shown up for that. Where was it at?
What's the restaurant across from Menards and Andora's or whatever?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's up? What's your feeling on this?
Well, let's go to the revote, the recount.
Mm-hmm.
You were a broker, and I know you dug holes, but did you ever work in a place where you had to count a drawer at the end of the night?
No, I've never done that. I've seen it, but I've never had to count the drawer.
Okay. Well, if you count your drawer and you're off by 1,000, you're like, oh my God, I got to count this again. Okay. And now some places, if you're off by a couple cents, you count it again. You need it to be right. Do you think the casinos count their money once? No, they count it multiple times because that's what's important. That vote, that position that's for the election, that's an important position. Now, maybe, someone references a dog catcher. Dog catcher is important too. But that role probably can influence millions of dollars of taxpayer money in one way or another, either by vote or by recommendation or just any type of influence, good or bad, but it's a powerful position. Any elected position is actually a powerful position. It needs to be viewed that way. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have a vote. Yeah, you'd take it. So the fact that vote that was that close, yes, I agree. Your earlier caller when I was driving, he was saying if we were on the side that we won by 2, we'd be fighting it tooth and nail because that's not a margin of error you want to accept, But for the guy that lost by 2, he's going to fight. He's going to want it because that could have been someone that counted and just a couple votes got stuck together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the next guy counts it. Oh, wait, there's 5 here. There's not 4 here. Whoops. Thanks for catching it. Happens all the time. So it's like, as a taxpayer, it's like, yes, I don't mind if there's a small inconvenience of, let's say, taxpayer dollars to do that recount compared to the influence of the dollars that may be influenced. You know what I mean? So I don't think that the guy asking for the recount is going to be looked bad upon, even if it comes out to be the same. Everybody would agree, yeah, you know what, for 2, I'd want to recount.
I agree with you, and yeah, I think Jorgensen's out of line for. I mean, I don't accept. Oh, he's going to be fighting it and everything. Why would you fight it? It's like going into a legal case, and lawyers will talk about the fact pattern. Like what the reality is this is what we have to deal with. Would you want? Let's just say 4-vote mistake, and Eldred Strong now is the winner. Okay. Would you want to be elected and then a year later they find the 4-vote mistake and then you're like, oh, it's too bad, so sad? I'd want to know now. Did I win or not? You know what I mean? I think the guy's out of line. He's not respecting the process. He's not respecting the process, and maybe he's telling us something. Going forward, I'm not respecting the process. I'm going to shake things up, and I'm just going to tell everybody to, go to hell that I don't agree with, and maybe that's his point. And maybe we're not seeing that. And so there's another part to that.
Yeah. NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I get your argument of it's freedom of speech. But you're in a workplace, and there's certain rules you have to follow. Now, some of those are just normal rules, but sometimes workplaces do have particular rules that may infringe on other liberties. It's not illegal to drink a beer, but I can't drink on the job.
Okay, all right, let's look at it.
No,
look at it. But let's look at the beer. You brought it in there. Your guy comes up and says, hey, listen, while you're on break here, we're all going to get together, and you have to drink that beer. Can the guy do that?
I like that one.
Can the guy make you drink the beer? Here's what I'm saying is that I think lost in this argument is remember why we started America and these guys came over. They were persecuted by the King of England and they didn't want to express their loyalty to a king that they didn't agree with. Okay? That was the beginning of it. It's like, man, I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to be forced to profess my loyalty to the King of England. Okay? They're like, principally, I'm not doing that. They leave and they come here. And one of the things they put in there is that you will not be forced to make a political expression, and you will be allowed to make any expression that you want. So by making them stand during that national anthem, if they're on the sidelines, You are making them do a political expression, which is express your loyalty by standing to that flag and to this country, okay? And that's fine if you want to start doing that. If you want to start making people make those political expressions, then where does it stop?
I don't have an answer for that, but if they do not like, if someone comes to work for you and they don't like the fact that they can't swear on the radio, and they argue it's freedom of speech.
It's a good argument, too.
And you have a rule, you're not going to come into my studio, and you're not going to swear on my radio station, and you're not allowed to talk about political things during an election season. Now, there are certain rules that you have to follow.
Oh, God, it's amazing. Facebook has none of that. We have a ton of them.
You mean they're infringing on your right about political speech?
Absolutely. That's my argument, but nobody's picked that up. Believe me, I agree with that argument. It's like somebody wants to use a swear word on these radio stations, then they should be able to. And how does America say, no, you can swear wherever you want, Facebook, Twitter, all over the internet, all these other places, but you can't say a swear word on WJOB. It's ridiculous. Somebody's going to challenge that one day, and it'll all be gone.
Yeah, but if they don't like the rules that you impose on them as the director of that radio station, they can find somewhere else to work. Yeah,
I guess. I mean, that's a tough one because there are so many other tendrils. If you don't like
the rules of the workplace, go somewhere else.
Yeah, but all right,
I got you.
You
can't wear shorts. Okay,
I got you on all of those things, but you are making people make a political statement that they may not want to do, and that is a slippery slope for America.
They can also stay in the locker room, right? So
they can also stay in the locker room, but now you're restricting the place where they can make their political expression. If they're standing there on the sidelines and they want to turn their back on the flag of America, or they want to sit down and that's all they want to do, then you're saying, no, you can't do that. You must profess your loyalty. And that is exactly why we started this country to not have. Thanks a lot. Let's talk to you. Tony Veneziano in 60 seconds.
I want to be like the pretty people on my TV.
Now you can.
All I need are gleaming white teeth.
We can help you.
Can you find the right dentist for me?
Dr. Randy Coulteritis, he does cosmetic dental.
Will he hurt me?
No, he's gentle.
I'm terrified of pain.
He's the kindest in the land.
He sounds great. Could you repeat his name?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, 219-836-1111.
Thanks.
The Emerald Green at Lost Mars Restaurant is now under new management. Delicious food, beautiful ambiance, and a full bar with a 12-tower draft system featuring craft beers from the region, including 3 Floyds and 18th Street Brewery. Our spacious premier banquet facility is the perfect place to host your private event. We are open to the public 7 days a week, serving lunch and dinner, open at 11 a.m. The Emerald Green at Lost Mars Restaurant is located at 1001 129th Street in Hammond. Call 219-228-2526 or see our website, emeraldgreen@lostmarsh.com.
From the Strachan Van Til Studios, your local Strachan Van Til has some great products on sale this week. Here's a few items you might want to add to your shopping list. Made fresh in store, our own fresh dinner sausage. Over 30 varieties, $2.99 a pound. Fresh southern sweet corn, buy 6, get 6 free, limit 2 offers. Haas avocados or sweet mangoes, 4 for $3. Strachan Van Til, proud to be Indiana made and dedicated to being Indiana's grocery store.
You know, Strachan Van Til is like going to an event. You know, you go into the store, it's so beautiful. They have this great, amazing fruit. It's all local people. You know, the money's going to stay local. You feel good when you go in there, you know? I went into that St. John's store the other day and walked around and bought a few things, and I'm like, I feel like I just went to a movie or something. It's an event to go in, and they've done, you know, it's a store. Let's be straight. It was on the verge of dying, and it's been resurrected. And you got to feel good. So when you're thinking about where you're going to go buy your food, or you're going to go buy your detergent in the middle of the store or whatever, go buy it from people that employ other local people, and they keep their money here. End of story. There shouldn't be any discussion on this in your own head. Just do it, even if you don't live right by one of the stores and something else is closer. Just drive over there and see what I'm saying and talk to the people. And they're like always local people. I was like, how long you worked here? 23 years. How long you worked here? 15. And then you get the young, the bag people, all that stuff. Anyways, 294, really the only thing in traffic is the Bishop Ford going into the Dan Ryan. It's a little bit heavy right now. And that's brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. And then the weather, high 80s, and then high 90s, or low 90s for Sunday and Monday for the next 4 days. So Dr. Lauren Brown, when he said that to me, I hadn't thought about it. He goes, I always work on Memorial Day. It always rains. And I'm like, you're right, it always rains. Well, we got a beautiful 4-day forecast. We got a little bit of rain maybe even tonight, just these thunderstorms that might pop up because it's going to be so hot and humid. Let's hope one of them doesn't happen on Sunday afternoon, because we got something going on in Indianapolis that the whole world's going to be watching. And one of my favorite people in the whole world's online too, Tony Veneziano. Tony, how you doing?
Hey, Jim, doing great. How are you?
How's your life going, man?
It's going. We're actually getting busy. June's our busy month. We got a couple races we promote next weekend in Michigan and Wisconsin, and we have a few in North Dakota, and then we have one in Iowa and Wisconsin at the end of the month. So we're getting after it here.
Tony, tell us what you do now.
I work for a company called FLS Promotions, and we promote World of Outlaw sprint car races.
What's that mean? So do you travel on all these?
We do. We go to all events. I mean, we sell the tickets and kind of we put the races on. So, like, for example, like right now we're a week out, so we got a lot of phone calls coming in. We still sell tickets over the phone. I mean, we sell them online. We have an online website, but there's still a lot of people that like calling and actually buying their tickets from a person, which is kind of cool because then they call and you talk a little racing with them. You get that one-on-one bond, but do a little bit of everything. I mean, my main job's doing the PR and the media and stuff like that, but whatever needs to be done. I mean, on race day, I've been in a tractor before helping prepare the dirt track, so it's a little bit of everything, and just got to get the job done.
Tony, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Bishop Knoll.
And where'd you grow up?
On Highland.
So you
went to Our Lady of Grace, New Thurm.
There you go. OLG guy. I was going to say, are you a St. James or OLG? Because there's only two choices in Highland, right?
Yeah, it depends, I guess, what side of town you live on. And my mom taught at Our Lady of Grace, so that's always where we went.
Tony worked here, and he had this amazing idea to interview racers, drivers, and pit people and all these. And he did a very popular show here for a while. And I remember, Tony, when you interviewed a woman driver, and it was before the rest of the world had really kind of discovered her, and you had Danica Patrick on, and you had her on for a long time. That was one of the best interviews ever on WJOB. I got to give it to you, buddy.
Yeah, she was good to talk to. I mean, obviously she's had quite the career. You know, she did the IndyCar stuff, then went to NASCAR, and now she's finishing up with one final race here at the Indy 500. And you know, she unfortunately probably never reached her full potential. You know, if she would have stayed in IndyCar, she probably would have won some more races. And unfortunately, in NASCAR, she went in there. She was a little bit older. You know, a lot of times now those guys, they start when they're 20, 22 years old in NASCAR, and she was, you know, in her 30s, I think, when she went over there. So for her, it was a big learning curve, and she just never quite was able to get it. And you kind of just always wonder, you know, if she would have stayed in IndyCar, might have helped the series even more, because she obviously is a well-known name, and when she's out there, she has a huge fan base.
Tony, remind people some of the other people you interviewed when you did your racing show here on WJOB.
Oh, man, I had a lot of people on. I mean, one of the most fun ones I did, I think, was Mario Andretti. I mean, some of the advice he gave me still sticks with me to this day. And, I mean, that was a fun one. I mean, he had guys like Elio Castro-Neves, the 4-time Indy 500 winner, had him on. The late Justin Wilson, former Formula One and IndyCar driver, talked to him. I talked to some NASCAR guys like Rusty Wallace, who's a Hall of Famer, and you know, a lot of short track guys as well, the former racing I work in now. But it was a wide array, and that's what was kind of neat about it. You know, we covered so much ground. Like, it wasn't just NASCAR or IndyCar. We talked about sports car racing, Formula One racing. So it was pretty neat. I guess in a sense it was kind of ahead of its time, because now there's so much. Everybody's doing podcasts and things online. But back then, well, there really wasn't a whole lot of racing shows that covered such a national scope.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I'd come in and Tony would go, hey, don't forget I got Mario Andretti at 12:15. I'm like, what? I mean, how do you get these guys? And back then, there just wasn't that much coverage, and you could call their agent, and they'd say, yeah, he'll call your show. And it was
and that was the great part about it. Nowadays, especially NASCAR guys, you couldn't get the time of day from a lot of them. But, yeah, back then, especially in the IndyCar realm, those guys, they wanted any coverage they could get, so they were more than willing to come on and always had great stories, and were always very cordial and friendly as well.
Do you have the tapes?
I have, I probably at my parents' house. I'd probably still have, I think it's CDs, because every show was always recorded in the office part, and then I'd always burn those onto a CD, and I think I have them in a folder. I haven't listened to them in ages. I'd probably get a chuckle if I listened to them now, because I probably didn't sound too good back then.
Yeah, I doubt that. He has always been the consummate professional. Tony, do not throw those out. We need those before your mom throws them out or whatever happens. Hey, listen, Tony, let's talk about the big race coming up on Sunday. When we say Indy 500 2018, first thing that comes to your mind?
I'd say right now, Danica Patrick. I mean, she's the big story. It's her last race, and it would be a heck of a story if she could go out on top. And I guess the other main story right alongside of that is James Hinchcliffe not making the race. A couple of years ago, he had the near fatal accident and came back and won the pole position last year. And this year he ends up getting bumped out of the field and doesn't make the field. And the team, they pursued a little bit of options to try and maybe buy a ride to get him in the field, but nothing worked out. And he's actually going to be on the sidelines. And he's probably the face, or one of the faces of the most popular guys in IndyCar right now. He's on the Honda commercials and stuff like that, and he's not in the race. So that kind of, it shows you how competitive it is when you have 33 cars in the field, and there were 35 guys qualifying, and one of your most popular drivers isn't in it. So I think that's probably a big story as well, and it's probably fortunate and unfortunate. It's gotten IndyCar a lot more coverage this week due to that fact of James Hinchcliffe missing the race.
There's a guy in the pole position that's getting a lot of coverage this year. Tell us about it.
He is. Ed Carpenter, he's from right here in Indianapolis. He graduated from Butler, and that's the third time he's won the pole. I mean, he's always fast in qualifying. He's been close a few times on race day, and if he could pull it off, I mean, it would be huge, because everybody in Indianapolis loves him. He's a local guy who gives a lot back to the community, still lives here. One of the few guys that, he grew up here and still lives here. A lot of the guys move on to other places, so he's a huge crowd favorite, and it would be pretty neat to see. And he's a guy that actually came up through the ranks. He started racing sprint cars on dirt and stuff like that. He was younger and advanced to the Indy cars, so it would be big if Ed Carpenter could pick up a win.
Who do you think's, give us your ideas of the main challengers to Ed Carpenter's pole position?
I'd say the Penske cars. I mean, Joseph Newgarden, the Series points leader, Team Series champion. He's never won the Indy 500. He'll be tough. Elio Castroneves, he's looking for number 5 or number 4. I mean, he's one of, I think, 3 or 4 guys who's won it 3 times, so he's looking for that 4th win. And his teammate Simon Pagenaud, he's always tough at Indianapolis. I'd say those guys, and you can never count out the Andretti cars. Alexander Rossi, who won it in the past, he'll be tough, and Marco Andretti, who's come close a few times, he'll be tough. So it's going to be a good race. I mean, it always has lots of lead change, 50, 60 lead changes over the course of the 200-lap race. So it'll be interesting to see. The weather, I think, will play a little bit into it, because it's going to be so hot. It's supposed to be in the low 90s on race day, and that'll make the track a little bit more slippery and heat up the tires a little quicker. So it'll be a little strategy coming into play as well.
Any other changes down there? Any track changes? Any changes to the event itself? Legends Day is getting pretty big now, right, huh?
Legends Day is big. Yeah, today's Carb Day. On Friday, they have a couple they have the final practice that I believe is at 11 a.m., and then they run the Indy Lights Series after that, and then they have a couple concerts in the afternoon, and then tomorrow's Legends Day, and they have a public drivers meeting where the drivers, they get the instructions how to start the race and some of the procedures for Sunday, and the fans can come and watch that. And then they have a huge autograph session with all the drivers as well. And then the legends, they have a lot of the old cars and the old drivers out there. And fans really get a kick out of that. I mean, to see a car from the 50s or 60s or 70s compared to today's car, I mean, there's so much different, the technology and just the look of them. So that's something neat the fans enjoy. And they have a big parade as well. They have the Indianapolis 500 parade that goes through downtown here on Saturday as well. So there's a lot that comes up to it. It's obviously Sunday's the big event, the Indianapolis 500, but leading up to it, there is a lot of neat stuff and a lot of buzz around here as well.
Tony, I got a text line here, 9845-1100. Here's what it says. When is this guy going to do a podcast?
When am I going to do a podcast? I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I don't know. Maybe down the road, something I should think about again. I mean, I do a number of radio interviews to promote our races, so I still get to talk on the radio from time to time, and I definitely enjoy it.
Well, I think you got a market, man. I still hear it. The passion is there, your knowledge, and have some confidence in your own talent there, Tony, like I told you years ago. I think a podcast from you with your depth of knowledge, both in the sprint car and in the Indy car and the NASCAR and all that stuff, you could cover it all in about a half an hour. You'd get some listeners, my friend.
Yeah, it would be fun. I mean, quick hits. People don't have the attention span to sit and listen for an hour to stuff. And I personally do like those things that are about 15, 20, 25 minutes long. You kind of hit on a subject real quick and move along. And I think that's kind of the mentality or the attention span of today's world. So it would be pretty. Maybe that's something I should look into a little bit.
Tony, it's always good to hear from you, man. Stop by here, will you? We got a lot of young people, and when we get someone of your caliber that comes back, I usually bring them around and we sit and we talk, and anything you have learned and you could tell them. Especially, I got a guy that's going to do a sports update. He certainly fits into that category, and you got a lot you can tell him about how to move on and get a job in media.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, I definitely enjoy talking to younger people, and it's good to have younger people who want to learn and listen to some of the people who've been around the block a time or two.
He is it. Tony Veneziano, the pride of Our Lady of Grace, the pride of Bishop Knoll, and quite frankly, the pride of WJOB. Tony, we're proud to be associated with you, my friend.
It was always a pleasure getting to be on with you guys, and I learned a lot. And actually, somebody the other day, a quick story, asked me about writing stories, and I told him some advice you gave me. You said, always let the quotes speak for themselves. So when I write a story, I always type out all the quotes first, and then I write around that. And that's something you taught me, I'll always remember as long as I keep writing stories. So I appreciate everything you guys taught me, and hopefully I'll be able to stop by one day and say hi.
All right, Tony, we'll see you soon, buddy. Talk to you.
Thanks, Jim. Take care.
There it is. He didn't mention all my bad habits I taught him. Tony Veneziano is very serious about his work, and we'd go do something, Baker and I and Kuziak, and we'd be like, hey, we'd like have a lunch or something, and we'd be talking, and Tony'd be like, all right, I got to get back to work, and we'd be like, what? What are you doing? Sit here. We're talking racing. Get your butt on. No. I'm on your clock. I'm going to work. I'm like, come on, man. You got to loosen up a little bit. Hey, we'll be right back on AM 1230 WJOB and 104.7, the voice and face of the region. Click!
Eduardo's Natural Pizza in Munster has built a reputation for serving the finest Chicago-style stuffed pizza, loaded with fresh and natural ingredients. Not interested in stuffed pizza? Eduardo's has the best thin crust pizza, appetizers, salads, pastas, and more. Pick up a half-baked pizza from Eduardo's to take home and bake at your convenience. It's the perfect solution for those hectic nights. Eduardo's is located at 7920 Calumet Avenue in Munster. Dine in or carry out by calling 836-2010.
It's that time of the year. Graduation, showers, retirement, and birthdays. Catering by Steve's in Hegwish is a full-service catering company and caters all occasions. We can deliver to your party, or you can enjoy our delicious food in our banquet rooms. Also, every Friday we have our fish fry from 4 to 8 p.m. and all-you-can-eat fish and chips the first Friday of every month. Look at all we have to offer at cateringbysteve.com, or you can call 773-646-1071. Steve's is located at 13200 South Baltimore in Hegwish and has been serving the Calumet region since 1958.
Here in Indiana, the Trump tax cuts are already working. Hoosier businesses are hiring, raising wages, and giving employee bonuses. In Washington, Senator Joe Donnelly said this:
if they bring a good tax bill before me that helps middle-class families, count me in every time.
Listen to President Trump on Senator Donnelly.
Joe Donnelly voted no on tax cuts, and he voted no on canceling job-killing regulations, which may be even more important than those incredible tax cuts.
Donnelly voted no on tax reform, even though the average Indiana middle-class family will receive a tax cut of more than $2,000. It's time for Senator Donnelly to change course. Call Joe Donnelly at 202-224-4814. Tell him the Trump tax cuts are working and to vote yes on S-2687 to make our tax reforms permanent. Paid for by One Nation, www.onenationamerica.org.
Now, up to the tap, Mr. Fun! Johnny's Tap, now serving a variety of local beers, including Three Floyds, Byway Brewing, New Overfalls, and Zorn.
That's it.
I'm listening to the voice in my head. I'm thirsty and I want to watch baseball. I'm heading to Johnny's Tap at 8050 Calumet Avenue in Munster. They have 12 beers on tap to choose from.
Johnny's Tap, the home of Mr. Fun since 1956. New ownership and now smoke-free. Join us for Mix It Monday, Taco and Tequila Tuesday, Whiskey Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, and Fireball Friday. Johnny's Tap.
Hey guys, AM 1230, WJOB and 104.7 FM, also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Stay tuned in June for a new announcement on another investment I'm making in streaming video. And if you are a business and you want to support the streaming video of high school softball and baseball, we have, by popular demand, been kind of forced to do these games tonight. We have Highland and Hanover Central are in the championship at Griffith, and then Crown Point and Lake Central are in the championship at Crown Point. And I got to tell you guys, of all the sports that I see that come through here, we are best at girls softball. And you have two momentous collisions tonight. Crown Point LC, we all knew it was coming to that. And Highland Hanover Central. Hanover Central, you don't realize, the Cedar Lakeans are on the rise in all of their sports, especially in girls softball. And we're going to put both of those on our Facebook Live feed. And it doesn't, we don't sell it this cheap, and it's way cheaper than we would normally sell it. But for $100, you can get on all four of these games. It's 2 games tonight, and then 2 sectional championship games in baseball also. Those will be on Monday. And just call Ryan and throw it to him. Otherwise, I got to cover it. And then if there's anything left over, I'll give it to the guys, and they can divvy it up. And we'll do that. But there's like, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8 of them all associated with it. We weren't going to do the games, but in the last week, many of you have contacted us and have asked for it. And you know what? You're right. We'll do them. I'll pay for it. Matt Maloney just stepped forward. He just called in. Kuziak did. Bridges did. Dyer Town Council. That's all you got to do. If you're the Highland Town Council, you throw Ryan 100 because you got Highland in that championship, and they're going to win, by the way. Anyways, let's take a look at traffic, and that is 294 around the city looks good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford is moving along pretty well up until about 103rd, and then it's actually the southern end of the Dan Ryan that's a little bit testy. But it's actually lighter than normal going into Jane Byrne. Skyway Toll Road are moving along well, and so is the Borman I-65 US 30 and Klein Avenue. Thanks to Christina Cortez for putting that on. Who's that? Spike from Lakeside's in. All right. Kalinowski with Farmers. All right. So I think I need about $1,000 to not lose money on this. So we're probably at about 600. And there you go. Oh, no, it'll be more than that because it costs us $200 per game to pay the IHSA. No matter how you do it, I'm going to lose money on this, but it's what you got to do to serve the community. So if anybody wants to get in on that, in the future, honestly, Shamari Walker, the pride of Gavin High School, he's a junior over here. He is writing a program so that we could put the game up on the screen on our new website that we're building. And it'll just say, hey, here's the champion. Would you sponsor this? And if we get enough sponsors for a game, then we'll do those games. This is kind of that version of it. But anyways, there it is. Traffic brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda. Let's take a look at weather. This one's brought to you by Ironworkers Local 395. They build stuff. Guys, a lot of ironworkers right now are on bridges. And I want you guys to understand that when you're driving by and you're all pissed off that there's problems and you're slow and everything, it's a union iron worker on that bridge, and he or she is supporting their family by standing on that bridge and building America, and you just need to slow down and get a hold of your britches there. Smith Sursick's in on that too, so way to go. So just remember that. Anyways, high of upper 80s today and upper 80s tomorrow. Part of the reason that it's so exciting for these 2 softball games tonight, Highland HC and then CPLC, is that the weather's going to be nice. These girls have been playing saw my nieces play for Munster, and I think I went to 1 or 2 games. You know what? I only went to the sectionals, and part of it is my sister would be like, "Hey, they're playing Andrean today, or they're playing Griffith today," and then I'd look, and I'm like, "It's 44 degrees and raining. I'm not going out there. I love my nieces, but I'm not going there." Same thing goes with my other niece. Megan plays lacrosse. My brother would be like, "Hey, you know, they're playing in Crown Point today," and I'm like, "Ah, man, it's cold out. I ain't going." Today is a beautiful day. They're going to have softball sectional. If you're an old time, you got young girls or whatever that play softball, you either know to go to Griffith or to Crown Point today, and you will see it. And I'm not going, but I'll be watching both those games on my phone as I'm planting flowers with my wife of a lot of years. All right, there it is. Beautiful 4-day forecast. Maybe a little thunderstorm here and there, but don't get freaked out about it. All right, they won't stick around very long. Let's talk sports with Will Hatzel. Will, what's going on?
All right, well, before we talk about sports, let's talk about Gateway Classic Cars. Gateway Classic Cars, the world's largest consignment company, is here to help you sell your ride. Visit gatewayclassiccars.com or go this Saturday from 9 to noon for their Cars and Coffee Cruising. And these sports updates are brought to you by Johnny's Tap. In softball, Chesterton won the Maryville sectional title after beating Valparaiso 6-2. Crown Point shut out East Chicago 10-0 in Game 1 of the Crown Point semifinal. And then in the second game, Lake Central defeated Kankakee Valley 3-2. And as mentioned earlier, tonight at 6 p.m., the Crown Point will be meeting up to battle in the sectional title with Lake Central. Andrean beat Whiting 11-1 to win the Whiting sectional. Andrean will be hosting the regional going forward. Hanover Central defeated Clark 16-2 in the Griffith sectional. In Game 2, Highland shut out Griffith 5-0. Highland and Hanover Central will play the championship game today at 5 p.m. And then in baseball, Bishop Knoll dominated Roosevelt 19-5 in the Whiting sectional. Then Whiting easily handled Bowman Academy 15-2 in Game 2 of the Whiting sectional. Bishop Knoll and Whiting will be playing in the championship Monday at noon.
And that's in baseball, right?
Yes. Yes. And
hold on a second before we do anything. Are we doing the Bishop Knoll game or no? No, we're not. Oops. Bishop Knoll Whiting are playing for the sectional championship, and we're not doing that game? All right, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Hammond Academy beat Covenant Christian 9-5 in the Westfield sectional. In the Munster sectional, Highland is going to be playing Munster tonight at 5 p.m., and Lake Central will be playing Morden tomorrow. In the Chesterton sectional, Chesterton's going to be playing Hobart today at 5, and following that game, Valpo will be playing Portage. And in the Griffith sectional, Clark will play Griffith Monday at 11 a.m. In the pros, the White Sox lost to the Orioles.
All right, slow down. Griffith gets a sectional in both softball and baseball?
Yep.
How does that happen? Hey, Ryan, how does Griffith get a sectional in baseball and in softball? That's pretty cool. Hey, Will, before we go to pros, Will Hatzel is, what year are you at Ball State?
Going into my senior year.
So he just finished his junior year, and he is a communications major at probably the best broadcasting school in Indiana. You don't realize it's actually Ball State. And he did his first game yesterday with Sam Michael, and you guys can watch that. Many of you did, and that was Lake Central KV, and that's on Facebook Live. You did it live in video, and you did a great job. I'll just leave it that way.
Thank you.
But we got work to do. All right, finish up.
All right, and then in pros, the White Sox lost to the Orioles 9-3. The Cubs had the day off, and they open a 3-game weekend series against the San Francisco Giants today at 1:20. And then in the NBA, the Rockets beat the Warriors 98-94 to take a 3-2 series lead in the Western Conference Finals.
Way to go, Will. Let's talk to Art. Art, you're it. Go.
Okay, a couple of things. I got a flag retirement ceremony on Flag Day, which is June 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be right off of Calumet Avenue, about 127th.
Okay, let's promo that as we get closer to Flag Day.
Okay.
What do you got?
Okay.
You got something this weekend?
No. Well, I do, but with my American Legion and doing some ceremonies.
Where are they and what time? Do you know?
10 o'clock at Promer Park over there in Whiting.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go over there and we, honor our veterans, the ones that fought for our country. And we lost a lot of them. And that was one of the things I wanted to call about was, it just kind of ticks me off when these guys can't respect the flag, and maybe they didn't have any family in the military. You know, and it just, you know, it frustrates me.
And rightfully so. It's a very difficult issue, Art. Art, I'm out of time, buddy. I'd like to take it up with you. McDermott doesn't wait very patiently.
Okay.
Talk to you. We'll see you. Hammond Maritime McDermott, Kevin Smith up next. Bye, guys. See ya.
Ogren Insurance has been serving the area since